The U.S. ambassador to the UN has accused the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, of begging for war. The UN Security Council will vote next week on the toughest sanctions yet against North Korea. Punishment for Pyongyang's sixth test of a nuclear bomb. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the escalating North Korean crisis could lead to global catastrophe. Leonid Petrov joins me now live from Sydney, Australia. He's a North Korea researcher at Australian National University there. Thanks so much for joining us. Let me first ask you what Moscow is actually suggesting here. Putin warns against upping military rhetoric, but then criticizes increasing sanctions. So is North Korea supposed to go unfettered in the buildup of its threats and its military arsenal?
Well, I think that the relationship between Russia and North Korea have been historically strong, and the mutual understanding allows President Putin to assume that North Korea is actually not inviting a strike or is not inviting a war. On the opposite, North Korea has been trying to resolve this ambiguous situation where there is neither war nor peace since 1953, when the armistice agreement was signed between North Korea, China on one side and the United Nations on the other side. So what President Putin is saying that, well, stop this belligerent rhetoric, stop threatening each other, just sit down at the negotiating table and negotiate peace. And diplomacy must prevail, not military aggressive rhetoric or even further open confrontation should be restrained.
All parties involved have said essentially diplomacy should prevail. But I mean, how is North Korea trying to resolve this? By illegally testing more nuclear weapons?
Well, North Korea believes that they're entitled, like any country in the 21st century, to have its own indigenous nuclear program. They have civilian nuclear program and military program for development of production of electricity and also exploration of the outer space. The rocket technology also have dual usage. So North Korea is testing various devices. This time, last month, we saw that it turned into purely military focus. Rockets were not even supposed to launch a satellite into orbit, but it was purely for military purpose. Of course, it can be interpreted as invitation to war, but in fact, it's an invitation to resolve the conflict. Kim Jong-un is representing North Korea, which since 1975 tried to appeal to the United States to stop the hostility, to stop the war. But the United States these days even refuse to talk to North Korea. Okay. So what North Koreans are doing is illegal, but it's justified from Pyongyang perspective by the long-standing confrontation. Okay,
but you're making it sound as if it's only the U.S. at play here. I mean, they're firing rockets over Japan. They've been threatening their South Korean neighbors. Everyone involved now that feels the military threat of North Korea has said this is getting too much. I mean, it's fair. Japan didn't even have an active military until very recently because of North Korea and feeling that threatened. I'm curious as to how you see North Korea as this non-threatening entity that just wants to negotiate with its neighbors.
Well, see, North Korea also believes it's enough. It's too much. This 70 years of conflict, 70 years of sanctions, 70 years of nuclear blackmail is enough for the people. So they believe that this confrontation has to be finished. And what is going south of the demilitarized zone twice a year, the United States and the Republic of Korea stage military drills. Tens of thousands of people, sometimes 100,000 of people, practice the landing operations, nuclear strikes. They basically right now they're going, the military exercises continue. And from North Korean perspective, it's unacceptable. It's not much better than launching a rocket or detonating a nuclear device underground. So I think North Korea is simply mirroring the actions of the neighboring states. South Korea and Japan are American allies. And what Russia and China are doing, they understand that North Korean security concern. That's why they try to either turn a blind eye to what North Korea is doing or openly defend North Korea.
Okay. Leonid Petrov joining us there from Australia. Thanks so much for that.